I think we've been doing this for just over 2 years maybe, and we're still really bad at it. So
The technology, everything is new,
yeah, gotta love it.
but it's fun, you know.
So what's up, man? Welcome to Nerdicide.
And thank you. Happy to be here. Just chilling. I was watching The Dark Knight Rises.
Nice.
Different, not horror, but you know.
I just finished the third episode of season 2, Shudder, Creep Show.
Oh, okay.
I was just watching that. I just added Shudder today. My buddy was over a little bit ago, and he wouldn't shut up about me not having it. He's like, "You fucking have like a horror show that you do." Like, it's like it's not all horror, man. Like,
Right.
fuck off. He's like, "I can't even listen to you talk. Can't even talk about it." All right, man, I'll get it. So I got it and watched that because they put the first season on Amazon Prime. You can watch the first season of Creep Show on there, but
Yeah.
couldn't watch the second one until I got shut.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the season. I still need to watch the new one. Shudder is something I've gotten, I think, over a year ago or something. I feel like it's just one of those things. I feel like after like like horror channel, I don't know if that's even still around anymore, and other like streaming horror like genre type things. I think Shudder has really broken through as like the prominent one, I would say. As of right.
Yeah, like I really haven't even got to dig into it yet, but he was telling me like it's got this, it's got this, it's got this, and I was like, that's cool, man. Like I'll spend some time with it, so I'm looking forward to really digging in. And he had me at like 70s Italian horror, so.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, Netflix, if you go to, Netflix and you look under horror, I mean, you might find like a couple of titles, but I feel like, they primarily base it on like their, like, what is it, like new releases or like the stuff they're doing. Netflix wants to put out stuff they're doing and stuff like that. I feel like everything else is kind of just thrown up there, like, like, hey, check this out if you want, but people are there for their original programming,
Right.
Whereas like Shudder, which Shudder also does too. I mean, Shudder has like original things they put out, like movies and stuff they support, I guess. And I know they come out later, like on Blu-ray and things like that. So,
Oh yeah.
they gotta be, but like on Shudder, like you said, I mean, you could find like things from the 70s, 80s, I mean, I think they recently, I know they put up a Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker up there.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely like a must watch, I feel. But yeah, it's just like they throw up like random stuff, and it's definitely, you'll never see that stuff on like Netflix and things
right.
like
that. They would when fucking like I don't know, maybe like the fifth or sixth year having like Netflix and seeing like the same garbage pop up over and over again. Like there's got to be something better. There's got to be something better. Like you go from like Netflix to over to Hulu, and Hulu sometimes has some things, and then like jump on Amazon now, and they have some weird shit on there. But even like Tubi, man, like Tubi has some really cool weird shit on there that can't fucking find anywhere else, and I spent a lot of time on that, like digging through their weird shit. Like
Right.
even like comedies and stuff like that, they usually have like weird stuff I haven't seen in like a really long time or at all, and like, oh, finally now I can watch it, and I'll sit through a fucking commercial or two
Right.
to watch it on Tubi. I don't care about that.
I mean, that's how it is. I think, over time we just got I'm so used to like fast forwarding through commercials if you DVR stuff but like back in the day, it's like, you had to sit through commercials. That's just how it worked.
Right. It's weird that like today's generation, like I got a 9-year-old, and I don't think she understands what like commercials are.
Right.
Like trying to watch a show, and it's just like, oh, now I gotta wait. Now I gotta wait,
Right.
or even like a week to week fucking show for her. I don't think she comprehends that.
Yeah, I think it's although back, I think, growing up, I think it was more like commercials were something, especially if you're watching like cartoons or you're watching a show you like early on, and it's like the commercials is things you want, like a movie you want to see, or like, a toy, or like something associated where it's like, you know, you watch a YouTube video or you watch like even stuff, it's like the commercials are not primarily like geared towards like something like, oh, I want to go out and buy that or something, or at least the ones I remember. I mean, you know, you can remember just watching TV and it's like, you know, you see something like, I mean, cartoons in general. I mean, that was just a way to push their products, you know, and
Yeah. Like 9 times out of 10, you were seeing a commercial for a toy for another cartoon that was about to be on in like a half hour or something.
right. Which, you know, was fine by me as a kid, you know,
Absolutely.
but the cartoons were actually good too. That's the positive thing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I definitely got to research Tubi more. I mean, I've seen different things on it. I think also YouTube, you know, is good for like watching like the random videos and stuff like that that, you know, might not be on any streaming or any even like physical release in a way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could find like some decent titles on YouTube of stuff that not on you know, not even on DVD or out of print or, you know, just hard
What is
to.
it? I think Paramount. Paramount or Universal. It might even be both. I think have their own YouTube channel where they'll put like free content and stuff on there of their like backlog stuff. And I don't even remember how I happened upon that shit. I can't remember. But I was amazed to find out that there was like really decent movies on there
Oh,
from these studios that were just like, oh, now we got a channel on YouTube, subscribe and whatever, and then you can get like more into it if you actually like, I don't know, pay for it or whatever. But there's a lot of good free stuff out there.
the little tease, but sometimes, you know, those like free things, like I said, it's like sometimes you find stuff on there where you're like, man, I haven't seen this or I haven't even heard of this.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's nothing to shit on for sure. Like it, oh, you get the fucking content, I'll check it out.
but yeah, I mean, to me, it's like if I can't get it anywhere else, I don't think there's a problem like watching like something on YouTube or something like that. If I can't physically go out and buy the item or I know it's not coming out, you know,
Yeah,
I don't see any problems with that. I mean, obviously we're getting, you know, you get into a fine line when, you know, it's not like I'm gonna watch like Justice League on like YouTube or something like that. But
right.
but
I don't even watch it
right.
anymore ever again. I'd say I threw it once and that was enough.
But
I developed an opinion about that.
I think everyone has opinions, right? Like
If anybody watches the episode we did last weekend, you'll get an earful of our opinions on that fucking horror show. Lord. Justin's a little more opinionated than I am on some of that stuff, but he can't be on tonight. His mom is actually visiting him. He's out in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And his mom lives, you know, like really close to where I live here in Ohio. And I mean, she's like 5 minutes away from where I live. But she was able to go out after getting vaccine and stuff. So he was really excited to see her. So he's spending as much time with her as possible before she comes back.
Absolutely, of course. I mean,
Like
you know,
year and a half or so you'd seen her.
this last year has just been like, you know, something like in a movie. I feel
Yeah.
like we're living it, you know. So
And it speaks volumes to how we would actually survive in a horror film.
Oh, I think honestly, if there was a real horror film, like everyone like wants a zombie invasion or stuff like that, I guarantee we'll be dead in probably a couple of days, maybe hours.
Yeah. It's so sad to see it, but yeah.
I mean, just based on like, you know, selfishness, not being able to work together,
Yeah.
Opinions, infighting. I mean, honestly, you know, like you see those memes, you know, like I'm waiting for the zombie invasion. And I mean, to be honest, like you don't want that because just what we've seen in the past year, like, yeah. I don't see a very good outcome on that and stuff like
Yeah.
that, you know?
I don't want anything to do with that.
I mean, we couldn't even find toilet paper, you know? So
Right, man. Like, if
what's
this is as close as we can get to actually having something that real, we're fucked. We're
yeah.
totally.
I mean, we're supposed to like survive and get food and stuff like that when it's like you can't get hand sanitizer and toilet paper and stuff like that. I mean, that's like easy stuff, I would think.
Yeah, and I'm like a straight up germaphobe, so like that shit was like I didn't want to touch anything. Like I still don't want to touch
Right.
anything, but now it's like at a new level. So I was actually out at Target today buying toys and like just being around people like that I can't get in and out fast enough.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Well, I think
But
that's like the gonna be that thing where it's like even when we get back out and stuff like that, sort of like leave the house and get back to normal. Well, some type of normal. Right. The new normal, what they call it. I think someone probably already like booked that term, like coin, the new normal.
yeah,
You'll see that on shirts and everything like that. Advertisements. It'll be used in movies.
yeah.
But
Well, I was
yeah.
talking to my older daughter today about just like in like the pop culture thing about it now is like yeah, you can watch a movie and you watch these people in like these like large groups whatever like hanging out and like thinking in your head like none of them are wearing a mask, like what are they doing, and then like watch a newer commercial and you see people like wearing a mask and
Right.
it's like it's already like in
Oh
it's
yeah.
already become like this thing where it's yeah, it's crazy, it's wild, but like you said, I really hope there's a new normal coming soon.
Well, something. I mean, I gotta say, like here, uh, at least it's been like way more crowded. I mean, people wearing masks and stuff like that, but definitely way
Because you're
more.
in New York, right?
Yeah. So like basically though, everything is like shut still. Like I mean, as far as like movie theaters and stuff like that, like I think they're slowly opening them up, but but just people in the street. I mean, the subways, of course, stuff
Yeah,
like that was like today. I went on the train. I mean, that's packed. I mean, stuff like that. But there's always like, I would say more so now, where you see like a crowded train, you're like, should I wait? Or it's like you just feel, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
you're always gonna have that hesitation. I think more so now, but I do like. I guess just miss like being able to just go out on a random day, not think and worry about other things and stuff like that, and go like try to find movies or like do stuff you don't like, you don't just think about it, you just kind of go and do. I mean,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
this thing has come and did way more damage and stuff, but I guess it's like they say, it's like the little things, right, that you miss. People talk about going to movies, just going out,
Yeah.
stuff like that, but
I know my wife was like, all she's thinking about like movie wise is just like, I just want to go to the theater and watch a Marvel movie. It's like, I really don't care to be in a movie theater at all. Like, I don't know. Like, it sounds rad. Like, sounds like it would be fun, but I'm willing to wait as long as it takes, I guess.
right. See, it's
But I'm,
I guess it's like one of those like catch-22s because like I support like seeing movies on theaters and screens and stuff. I mean, that was growing up. I mean, as a kid going to the theater, I mean, that was a big
yeah,
deal. I mean, especially, one, at least in a lot of them I went to, you had arcade machines in the lobby. So that was always a bonus. And then,
oh yeah,
just going out and seeing a movie. I mean, like I said, growing up, that like at least once a week. I mean, there was so much stuff coming out. That was like a big a big what to do. Like, it was fun, you know. And nowadays, it's, you know, like certain things I would love to see on the screen, but I gotta say, being in the apartment or just being like, you know, like, hey, I want to go to the bathroom, or I want to get something from the refrigerator, or hey, I want to pause it right now, or hey, I can't hear, let me turn that up, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, man, you know, it's sort of like I got spoiled, I guess, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was talking when I brought him up earlier. My buddy that was over earlier, fucking, uh, I was talking about like just being in quarantine and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't get that." He's like, I had to go to work and shit. He works for a company that does like hospital laundry, and so this shit has to be done. So he was at work every day, and he was like, man, that must have been really nice. And I was like, yeah, it was fucking great. Like, it was super fucking great. Like, I would do it again in a heartbeat. But like, I'm glad I'm working and stuff. But
Right.
oh man, some of the people I work with make it way cooler to be at home.
Right.
But I 100% agree. Like, being able to just like, well, I guess I'll just go watch a movie. Like, I own how many fucking movies? Yeah, I've seen them all 1,000 times, but I am not against sitting on my couch and putting in a movie that I've seen 100,000 times.
Oh yeah.
Not have to fucking deal with people like that. That's a dream come true.
I mean, like I said, I definitely see both sides, and like I see like the comment how it was, you know, like they said they saw like Kong vs Godzilla in the theater, which that is like, you know, certain films definitely I feel like seeing it on the screen for years and years and years. I mean, I've seen Jaws numerous times in VHS, on TV, all that stuff. I actually went a couple years ago to see Jaws on the big screen because they when they put it back out. And honestly, it was like I seen the movie for the first time. Just like the experience, being like just there, like the sound. I mean, it was amazing. Like, like it was, like I said, it was literally like I never seen the film like before, even though I've seen that film like hundreds of times.
That's fucking awesome.
You
man.
know, seeing that on the big
you know.
screen, The Exorcist, obviously, like, those films, like I seen on the theater, like after, like Exorcist, when they re-released it for, they put the bonus scenes in the spider walk and stuff like that. Yeah. But just as a kid, I mean, like all those films during the 80s and stuff like that, like, Goonies, Ghostbusters.
Well, that's the thing. I had shit. It's probably been like 5 years now, but our drive-in, what was it? It was Goonies and Gremlins that they showed, and I was super stoked to see that stuff on a big screen, especially in like a drive-in situation. Right. And me and my wife took our daughter, and then my cousin brought all her girls and stuff, and it was nice. It was super cool. Like, Goonies and Gremlins on a big screen made, like you said, a big difference. Like, seeing it for the first time, like, holy shit, this is how it was meant to be seen.
That's I mean, it's just like the scope of it. I mean, that's, just like so many films. That's why it's like, when you watch a movie or something like that, I mean, if you have like that attachment to it, or even if you've seen it new, I mean, if you do see it on the screen, it's like, it is a whole different experience. So that's why it's like, I don't want to be like, I can sit at home, I'll watch movies, when I can, and I enjoy it. I do enjoy the theater, but more so nowadays, unfortunately, even pre-pandemic or whatever, like, it was less and less, I mean,
yeah.
And also a factor is the money. I mean, if I'm going to spend, like, especially here, if I'm going to spend like, $17 to $20 or more going to the theater, I'd rather own the movie.
Yeah.
and I could go to the store and get the movie for $20. The Blu-ray. It's like, you know, I watch it and I'm like, I own it now. It's mine.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to just.
Yeah, $20 and you can watch it as many times as you want when you want.
Right.
It's a fair trade.
So that's why, you know, like I still collect like crazy, probably too much, but like.
Well, I do have a list of questions here for you, but collecting definitely comes up in one of them. Um, yeah, like I said earlier, I was out buying toys today, and I ended up with one that I could decide on, but man, toys, toys, toys.
It's you know, it's one of those addictions that are like, you know, I don't think ever leaves.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, oh man, like nowadays it's sort of like, you know, I think about like, man, it's like even just like NECA stuff. You see like these NECA toys, and I'm like, you know, if I told my, you know, like 10-year-old me, you'll have like a Jason figure that looks just like the movie.
Right.
Yeah, my head would explode. I'm like, what? You know, but it's
It's fucking bananas, dude. Like and I picked up a NECA figure today. But like seeing some of this stuff. But like I can trace back like my need to collect. Like I know the moment that it like worked its way into my brain. Like you're gonna get shit that you like and you're gonna hang on to it. Like it so when I was younger, I got three brothers and we would like collectively get shit.
right.
Like my parents would just buy us like each one of us a thing from like a certain whatever. And we had a decent amount of Star Wars toys, like the original Star Wars toys. And, you know, collectively, it was quite an impressive collection. And we played with them, you know, like kids are supposed to play with toys, whatever. But when we moved out of that house into another one, those didn't make it. Somehow those didn't make it.
Right.
And it was the moment that I learned that shit, those were actually worth something today. And it like made my stomach hurt. Like I remember having all of those in my hands and like, you know, like getting pissed off at my brother and like whipping a Han Solo at his head or like, you know what I mean? Like just
Right.
having those. And it really bummed me out that, you know, there's there's a little bit more to them than just, you know, cracking a Han Solo across your brother's skull
Right.
when he pisses you off. It's you can set it on the shelf and you can have it for a really long time, and then you know maybe sell it off one day when you know it doesn't mean anything, or like you need your car worked on or whatever. You can sell some of this shit
Yeah.
because it's. But yeah, it just like now it's I think about that stuff like oh I want that on my shelf, and I'll know where it's at. Like I'll never lose it because I want to put it up. I want to display it, and yeah, now it's kind of a problem.
It becomes a problem. I mean, especially if you try to recapture those old ones, because
Yeah,
prices are like
I
ridiculous.
have like zero fucking Star Wars figures. Actually, I take that back. I have a Boba Fett over there, which is like a one of the many remakes of Boba, but it's like the original scale.
Yeah.
I have a Darth Vader still in the plastic or still on card, and I don't even know what era that one came out at. I bought it at a dude's garage sale who I probably would have been if I had hung on to them. His entire garage was full
Yeah.
from side to side, top to bottom, all Star Wars shit. And he was selling it off at a garage sale because I'm pretty sure his wife was like, "You got to get rid of this shit." But it was like all the Star Wars. It was like all the new Star Wars stuff. As far as like the 1, 2, and 3 episodes, 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
But yeah. So that's kind of where I cut myself off was like you don't need Star Wars toys. Like those have come and gone, there's other cool shit out there, and obviously, like fucking Marvel figures, the Marvel Legends figures are super dope.
Oh yeah, and they just and they put out like where they have like those new ones they re-released. I know I haven't seen them in the store yet. It's the ones on the I don't even know who put those out, but I know I seen people start picking up or like the old school like X-Men ones. I
Mm-hmm.
know they re-released. I think when I was collecting those like those Secret Wars figures back in the 80s, I remember those. I remember having like, you know, like Black Suit Spider-Man was like one of my favorite Doctor Doom. I had like a couple of the ships, which is funny because it's like, why the hell would Superman need a friggin' ship or like Darkseid or something, you know? But back then you don't think about it. You know, I was like, of course Superman is gonna
Marketing.
fly in this ship, you know? Like I need it. Like, you know, that's how it was, but
That's fucking hilarious.
it's like, yeah, it's like a lot of that stuff. I mean, they were just pumping out like so much stuff.
But that's straight up kid logic, and kudos to them for figuring that out. Like, of course, a kid's gonna want this.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's plastic.
yeah, it's like it's a ship, you know, it's like, you know, I could put my figure into something. It's like, you know, that's like the greatest stuff is, you know, like cuz it's like figures, vehicles, play sets, more money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like look at like, you know, you look at like GI Joes and it's like, you know, you have all the figures, then it's like, you know, you had all the vehicles, and then look at the play sets. Like some of the biggest, right? The aircraft carrier. I mean,
Dude, Grace, man.
that
Like when I was a kid, like we had between me and my brothers, we each had like a fistful of like GI Joe characters, and then like our buddy that lived across the tracks from us, we would go over to his house, and he had all the play sets. So it was almost like we never had to have them because we would just go over and play with his. But then you see like the aircraft carrier, and you're like, what the fuck? Like you have like a giant small boat inside your house. Like, what do you even fucking do with that?
I know.
And that's something that me and my brothers never even got into was playset stuff. Like, we didn't even ask for that shit. We just wanted as many of the figures as we could get our hands on. It's like the playset stuff was just like we would take our shit outside. Like we had a like a tractor tire in our backyard that was like a sandbox, and then like a weeping willow tree over top of it. So that was just like you tie it to a fucking weeping willow tree branch and you fucking whip back and forth at each other, and then yeah, dug them up out of the sand. I would actually like to go back to that yard and
Find
see how many GI Joes I could dig up in the backyard.
it's like finding like dinosaur bones. You just find
Yeah.
like old like GI Joe parts and stuff like that. You know, like
Because I
archaeology.
guarantee I can find a storm shadow over there somewhere.
Which
I
yeah,
know it.
I mean that's like finding gold. I mean I feel like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but it's funny because I was another friend like one of my other friends. We talk about a lot about how like you just said. I mean one that's sort of the thing. I mean you had toys and stuff. You go to friends' houses, you know, and you interact like that. It's like, you know, like even more stuff. But the other thing was bringing your toys outside. To me, that was like almost like a new adventure. It's like GI Joe is going outside now. It's like now we're in the swamp or we're in the rocks or
Dude, in the swamp, literally, like we would go down. We had like a little culvert that was like, um, it was another town, but it was that I lived in, but it was just like over the tracks. There was a culvert with this big ass ditch, and we would build like little fucking rafts for him and shit. Like, rubber bands and some sticks and
yeah.
some twine or whatever, and you build a little boat. You put them on it and you send it across, and if it sank, you hope to God you can fucking dig down far enough to find them. But yeah.
But that's the but see
Probably
that's
go to that ditch and find a bunch of GI Joes too.
and that's the things you remember though, like if you go to like flea markets or like if you go to like like toy conventions or whatever, it's like when I see a figure, it's not just like, hey, look, there goes Storm Shadow. It's like, hey, this is that time I was playing over here, or this is like, oh, I remember that time I was like at my friend's house, and it's that's why nostalgia is so huge, for people, because it's like, it's that attachment. It's more than just like, yeah, I get it. It's just like a 3 3/4 plastic figure. It's just like, like like a rubber wrestling dude, or just like whatever. It's like, it's like it's the memory of it. I mean, toys, movies, anything. I mean, you can attach it literally to anything.
Yeah. It's literally a piece of plastic this big, but it's years of memories. Like that, fucking priceless, man.
It is, and that's the key. I mean, people, nostalgia is sellable. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we see it in
for sure, especially right now. Like, I feel like the market knows that like we're the generation that cared the most about the shit that they had. So they're just trying to like revamp it and pump it back out and earn them dollars again. Oh shit. What's up, Justin? Hopping on.
But it's like, it's like that's what it is. I mean, but like I know there's a huge like market for, and that's when I get into the like the reselling thing of it and stuff like that. I just want to be able to go to the store and walk in, and like luckily, you can for some of them. It's like, look, like you walk in and it's like He-Man is on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
To think, like in present day, and me, friends, we always talked about it. It's like, man, imagine just going to the store and you could get Skeletor or He-Man off the shelf. And that's what it is right now. Like literally you could do
today.
And to me, I'm like, bring it on. To me, that's great. This is the stuff, but there's limit.
I'm honestly waiting for Thundercats to come back like that.
Well, I mean, Super 7, right? I think they did some like amazing Thundercats, but nothing like as like like Mattel, like having it just readily available in the store. I mean,
who was the, I don't know if you know this or not, but who was the ones that put out like the big box, like the super tall Thundercats? I'm still kicking myself that I didn't buy any of those.
Those things are amazing.
I had a Tigra in my hand, and like to this day, like it makes me want to vomit because I didn't fucking buy it.
Those things are amazing. The only one I have is Mumra,
right,
which glows in the dark. Which like if you hold them like near, the like near the like light or whatever, to like amp him up, he glows like amazing, right?
That's awesome.
But yeah, like I feel like some of those only came out through like San Diego Comic-Con, like some of those releases. I know like back in the day, like
I saw them at Toys R Us before they shut down. But
because
they were definitely gone when I went back to go try and get them like super cheap before they did close the doors. And Justin, I saw those today too. I actually only saw the Gill-Man, the Universal Monster reaction figures. The only ones they had were Gill-Man. I probably should have bought it.
Gill-Man is like, we always joke because it's like Gill-Man, his stuff sells so well, and it's like if you see it, get it, because you're probably not gonna see it again.
Yeah.
Or you'll see it on eBay for like double the price. That's basically what it comes down to.
Shit, there were 2 of them there, and they were the only ones. I should have grabbed them.
Yeah, it's like.
See, that's the stuff too that I got to think about now. Is like, do I grab that and flip it, or do I grab that and just hang on to it? So, like, I really try to limit myself on some of the stuff where, like, I know I want that.
Right. I mean, I think my problem is, I like, I like so much stuff. Like, my collection isn't like geared towards like one thing. When I just see something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's so amazing, and I'm like, all right,
Well,
let me
cool. You
grab
just
this.
answered one of my questions.
And it's like,
Because my question literally, I'll ask it anyway, just so we're on the same page here. But it was oh, I'm looking right at it. As a collector, do you find yourself shifting your attention to things based on availability, or are you focused as a collector, like on being a completist, or do you just stick with something for a bit, not necessarily needing to complete it? Um, so are you able to just like abandon a line
yeah,
or
I think
uh,
it's, I think my collecting is sort of like ADD collecting, where it's like, I'll
we're
be
in the
like,
same boat?
it's like, oh, look, I got He-Man in my hands, and then I turn and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, but look at this wrestler over here, or I'm like, oh, there's like this NECA figures over here, and it's like, I can't, it's like being at a buffet. I'm
Yeah,
not just gonna go and eat one thing. Like, look at all this other stuff over here, like
dude, that's the best. That's
I,
the best.
I feel like I can't just like, and I get it. I mean, I know people who are completionists and stuff like that. I think it's like good and bad because I feel like and I'll do it like so like I like Creature. I love Universal Monsters. Creature is one of my favorites, and I feel like maybe if I put more money that I'm spending on other stuff into that, like I would have got probably like maybe some like bigger pieces,
Mhm.
But I mean, it's just, I mean, I feel like, if I see something, I like it, I'll get it. I'm not gonna, just be like, no, I can't get this. I don't do that line and stuff like that. Or, like,
That's a thing. Like there's been a couple lines that have come out of different things where it's like, you know what, they got like one cool fucking figure out of it. I'll try and snag that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, man. I'm looking up at just like random shit. Like I unboxed my Where the Wild Things Are McFarlane figures from back in the day. I worked at one of my very first jobs was Toys R Us.
okay.
Uh, I worked in the back, so I would unload the truck and I would see all the McFarlane boxes come in, and I would just start ripping through that shit, and then reading like Wizard magazine and stuff like that, and like, oh shit, fucking Where the Wild Things Are figures are coming out. So I made sure that I got all of them. They were all in boxes. From the day I got them up until a couple weeks ago. I just bought a house. Me and my wife got a house, and I was kind of unpacking everything, and I took them out, and the plastic is garbage. Like it just turned like
Yeah.
super brown, oranged out on me. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna open them. I can't display them like this. So now they're on a shelf, and I never thought in a million years that I would see them on a shelf, other than like hanging up. Like that's just how I always try to do my shit now. Is like I leave it in the box for the most part,
Okay.
unless it can't be displayed properly.
Right.
Like I got the he's not in there, but I picked that one up. He's not in there because he's facing that way and his legs cranked up behind him and it looks stupid as shit. So now he's on a shelf over that way. But like a lot of the stuff that's behind me now, um, it's loose because like it's either like super small or I've had it for a really long time.
Right.
So like all my really small stuff I like to keep out. One of my favorite things, I don't know if you can see, it's like right there. This guy in the corner is Candyman,
Okay.
but he has a build a figure of Vegeta. He has Vegeta's hair on him. That's my custom figure that I made.
That's awesome.
Super Saiyan Candyman. So a funny story about that. The Vegeta figure I got from a buddy of mine. Him and I lived together years ago. Um, and he was like a big collector, but he also sold, so he would get like diamond stuff like he would order through Diamond, and they would send all these boxes to his house, and he would just sell them on eBay. And love you, buddy. Bye, Justin. Fucking. So he would get all this random shit in the house, and he'd be like, "Hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want that?" He's like, "You can buy it before I put it up or whatever." So I got like my comic book guy from The Simpsons figure through that, and just like some other random shit. But he had like a sweet display, like just a sweet setup in there. It was just shelves and shelves of shit. And he had the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft figure,
Yeah.
one shelf, and then he had that Build-A-Figure Vegeta on another shelf. And I would go in there every day, and I would put the hair on Shaft. And every day he would yell at me about it. He'd be like, "Dude, fucking do not do it." He's like, "Just stop doing it." And I was like, "But it looks amazing. It's a Super Saiyan Shaft. Just say that out loud.
Right.
It's fucking funny." So when I finally moved out, he had snuck the Vegeta stuff, the Vegeta figure into my stuff. And when I opened it, I called him. I was like, "Hey man, like I got that Vegeta, like what's up?" And he was like, "You're gonna have more fun with it than I am." Like, goddamn right.
You got a badass candy, man. You know what I'm saying? With some badass hair. I mean, keep that.
Nobody's gonna fuck with Candyman anyway, but now he's Super
Right.
Saiyan. Here we are.
You know, he's got the flowing trench coat and the hair. So it's like. But.
All right, man. I got a few things to ask you here. So I know we've kind of been shooting the shit. Let's get into knowing you a little bit better. So I'm sure some of the people that have been in and out of here probably follow you already. But for those that don't, uh, you're obviously a toy collector, way into horror movies. Uh, you're a convention attendee, which is awesome. I miss conventions right now. That is one thing I do miss is conventions.
Absolutely.
You're into soundtracks, like film soundtracks, which is super dope. You're just kind of a collector through and through, man. Collecting toys, collecting films, fucking collecting tattoos and shit.
Yeah,
like
that's
that
something.
stuff's cool to me, man.
That's something I definitely need to get back into. Like, because I haven't had a tattoo in a couple years.
Shit, I just got one like a couple weeks ago, and I'm ready for another one already.
Oh, it's always the thing, right? It's like you get one, that's it. Like that starts the trend.
Yep.
It doesn't stop. I mean, well, it takes a break, I would say, because money wise or opportunity or something like that, or you just run out of like space that won't hurt as much, I would say.
Right.
That's always like
that's a factor.
That's always a huge factor for me because the pain is whatever. I mean, to me it goes away, and what you're left with is something amazing anyway. Hopefully.
That was always my thought process. Was like, this is gonna hurt for as long as it hurts, and then I have something cool forever.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I mean, like when like I think a lot of people say, like, oh, did that hurt or does it hurt? And it's like tattoos hurt. Like it doesn't matter where you get it, it hurts. But it just depends how much you could take. And like I said, you'll forget about the pain. Like
right,
it'll go away. You can't, if you think back, you can remember the time. Like maybe that hurt. Like yeah, I remember it hurt, but you can't physically be like, oh man, yeah, that was like so bad. But
yeah,
but you're left with something that you have on you forever. Like hopefully forever.
Like I was talking to my oldest daughter today, and she was like, "Think about getting a tattoo, and I want it like right here." And I was like, "No, you don't. Not right there. You don't. You can. That's not where you start, kid.
Yeah.
Or you do. You get like the miserable spots out of the way first.
That is true.
But when I was talking to her, I was like, man, it's like, all right. So like, I'm showing her like, here hurts, here hurts, here hurts, here hurts, here hurts. This not so bad. This not so bad. This not so bad. And she was like, well, shit. Now I gotta think about it. It's like, that's all I'm asking. Just think about it.
It is.
Well, I mean, like my older brother's a tattoo artist, and so is his girlfriend, which has worked out well for for me and my family.
Right.
It's just like, oh shit, well let's go see Dave and we'll get some shit done, or like, oh hey, we'll go see Jess. Like my wife goes to my brother's girlfriend, and she's getting like a whole fucking thing done on her arm, and it's fucking beautiful. I love it, and I love her work. But yeah, me and my brother have like obviously, you know, growing up kind of the same sensibilities when it comes to artwork and stuff. So I like being able to go to him and just be like, you know what I'm fucking talking about. And he's like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
That's always like a good thing when you have like someone that, or at least, you know, like, you know, if you have an idea or you like have a picture or something and you're like, I want this, but like this, you know, like,
yeah,
obviously it's not like you just don't grab something and just go to the tattoo, be like, I want this. And it's like, you're not going to photocopy it onto someone. Like, that's not a, you know,
right.
that's not a tattoo artist. I mean, they got to take it, change it, you know, make it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
My favorite thing is I had asked my brother one time because I was gonna do I did one on him. I used to be at the parlor like all the fucking time. I kind of worked the counter for a little bit, drew a couple things for a couple people that had come in, and I was getting ready to do it. And I asked him, I was like, "So what's it like, you know, giving somebody a tattoo?" And he's like, "Take the shittiest piece of paper you can find, wrap it around a cardboard tube, and try to draw a straight line." And I was like, "Fuck, now I want to do this."
right.
And he was like, "Yep, go to town." So I did a little fucking Magnolia style uh, skull on him, and it turned out pretty good. I did blast out a line, but it did turn out pretty good.
Well, that's always like the thing too. Like that's why, like, you know, like shows like Ink Master and stuff. And I see like some of these people come up and they're like, you know, they're like, I want this, 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 and this, and I want it on my wrist, you know, and it's like, and then it's like, you know, they want all these like fine line stuff or like circles,
Yeah,
know, and it's like, listen, you just gotta like, you know, I feel like you just gotta trust in the artist. You know what I'm saying? Like the person wants to do it. Well, hopefully the person wants to do a good job. You know.
I want the Sistine Chapel across
Right.
my kneecap.
Yeah, and that's, but I mean, and literally I've seen that like on Ink Master, like where they're like, you know, I want, you know, the space galaxy on my like on my forearm, and it's like that's not gonna work, you know. But
It sounds cool, but yeah, it ain't gonna be what you think it's gonna be.
and just my advice for anyone getting tattoos, do not go into a shop and haggle price. This is someone's job.
Thanks.
If you want, like if you want a better price, shop around. But you have to know, like this is something that you know that's gonna be on you. You don't want to go and be like, "Hey, I want this done," and they're like, "All right, that's $300," or they charge, you know, like per hour, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, "Well, I just want it for 100." First of all, you're pissing the person off to begin with, right from the beginning. You know, and again, this is someone's job. You're not gonna go in there and demand stuff and
Dude,
haggle.
my brother's got like 1,000 fucking stories. I watched him turn person after person away that came in with that kind of horse shit.
Yeah, it's
They like there's a shop minimum, and you're you're limited there anyway,
right.
and then it just goes up from there. Like you slide something across the table, and like I want this, they are gonna shoot you a price because it's their fucking time.
Right.
It's their material. It's the same thing that I equate to asking somebody for like a custom piece of art. Like, hey, you're a painter. I want you to paint me a canvas on this size and whatever. Well, you know, that's gonna take me maybe 10 fucking hours to paint. You want me to charge you by the hour? You want me to fucking charge you for all the materials I'm gonna fucking use? Like, these are things that you gotta factor in. And for me, mostly though, like I'll paint and it's just to get it out of my head. And then I set them off to the side. And if somebody's interested in it, I usually have like a base price where it's just like whatever, fucking I don't care.
Right.
I'm done with it now. I'll take the money, but yeah, like you're sitting with somebody who's trying to give you the best representation of something that you came in and asked for, and you can't, like you said, you can't piss these fucking people off.
Right. It's, you know, it's like, you know, let me beat you up over those like $100 and stuff. Now I want you to do a great job, and I want you to be attentive, and I want you to be nice to me, and you know, and it's not.
But like it's tax return time, and then you see how many of them fucking people are like your best buddy when they come
Right.
in, like, yep, there
But
it
then,
is.
but then it's like, you know, it's like they don't. Sometimes people don't understand either. It's like, well, if you become a regular, then you do get breaks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do get breaks on price. You do get breaks on other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just like go and just demand a whole bunch of stuff right out the bat. And then,
and that's something I'm like. I usually, you know, I'll throw my brother a tip, or like a fucking, you know, buy him some beers or a pack of smokes or something like that. But there's never been one time where I was just like fucking a dick about, like, not because he's my brother, but it's just like I've never demanded more of him. Like I've gone in with the artwork that I have and be like, hey, do you want to do this today? And he'll be like, yeah, I can do that. And that's where it ends. It's not like, well, I was thinking of this or thinking of adding this. And it's like, if I want to add something later to it, it's later. It's not like, hey, you got to sit 3 hours today and do all this fucking work on me because I want this, you know, fucking sleeve done or something.
Right.
Like, I have maybe like 3/4 of my left leg from like the knee down done, but that's been like fucking 5, 6 fucking years worth of shit over the last fucking 10 years of him doing fucking tattoos on me. Like, it's not something that I'm gonna kick his fucking door down and like demand from him. It's bananas that some people are just, they don't get it. They don't fucking get it.
Yeah. It's like I said, I mean, I feel like that should just be, you know, a simple thing, and it goes to everything. You know, I mean, I know it's like a little bit off track, but just, you know, just being respectful of people and, you know, things they do and stuff like that. You know,
Bottom line, respect.
like, yeah, just treat people respectful and, you know, keep it moving from there.
Well, speaking of keeping it moving, let's get into these questions. So my first question to you is, so what got you into horror, man? Like, what was the catalyst for you?
I think it's like most, I would say like a good majority of people online probably just growing up sort of like into it in a way. I mean, I remember from just even a young age, I mean, growing up at the time where, you know, no babysitter, you know, so always with a parent, but really they never like stopped me from watching anything. And I think even with them, you know, like we would go to the movies all the time, and, you know, like that. You know, I remember going to see Creep Show. I'd probably be, you know, like really young, you know, probably like 4.
God damn.
But like back, you know, it wasn't, you know, like, you know, look at it now as whatever. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
bring my kid, or like, would you bring a kid to see Creep Show at 4? You know, but back then it was like, and it was just the 80s, but I feel it was like sort of like the Wild West. It's like, you know, it's like, well, you know, they're not leaving me at home. Like I said, there's no babysitter.
Right.
So if they're going to the movies, I'm going to the movies. And back then, it wasn't thought of like, well, what are we going to go see? Let's go see something for him. No, like they want to watch a movie. I'm going to go watch a movie, you know? And I feel like, you know, just growing up around like that time, just like growing up into it, and my parents, like, I think they always lean towards like horror. They still kind of do. I mean, obviously they're way older, but like I still bring stuff to them sometimes, like
Oh yeah.
or like randomly, like, you know, my mom will call and she'll tell me about some movie she saw like on Sci-Fi something like that, you know, and or like the random, like, you know, be like, oh, what was that movie, you know, with the hole? And I'm like, you mean the gate? And she's like, yes. She's like, I haven't seen that in forever. And like I brought it over there, and she's had it for like a couple months now. But you know, it's just like stuff like that where it's just like just growing up and just like it became so much of like like renting tapes and stuff like that. And it was just something about renting like a horror movie, putting it on, going home. I mean, being scared of it, but it's like you want to watch it again and again, and it's sort of like get that thrill, and I mean, yeah, it was almost like feeding an addiction, I think, after a while, like,
oh yeah,
just want like more and more of it. I mean, just like I said, and then I mean, it's a little off, but just like all the artwork, you know what I'm saying? Like on the boxes and stuff like that. And like I said, it was literally, I don't want to see my parents just let me do whatever, but it was always like, they did not check. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I brought a tape, I'm like, oh, I want to rent this. Like they weren't reading the back of it and stuff like that.
Right.
Literally, like, they was just like, hey, is it in? Like, because back then people don't realize you got the box, but like at least in a couple of months, like when I would go, it's like you'd have to bring the box up to the counter,
Yep.
Is this in? And then of course they go in and you're like, you're just waiting, you're like, please have it in, like please have this in. And then it's like, we got it. It's like, thank goodness. Like
ours was a little different. Ours was like the tape was behind the box. So that's how you knew it was in. They had one copy of whatever they had on the show. Because our shit was just like little mom and poppy fucking places. And mine was a little different. We did have babysitters, but it was like my older cousin. And he was just like, I don't want to be around you fuckers. Like, I don't care. Just do whatever.
Right.
So sometimes it was just like a madhouse. But most of the time it was like, hey, we're going down the street, we're going to rent movies, or we're going to go across the street. If we were over at their place, it was, we had to cross like a busy fucking street. It was just like a small town, but it was like a beeline from one like major town to another. So it was just like semi-traffic that we would have to cross through. But there was a little gas station across their street, and the old dude that ran it did not give a shit what we were doing. Like, he did not care at all. Well, and then, like, the little mom and pop store that was in my town, like, there was a few times where it's like, I don't know if I should rent this to you. And it's like, you can call my mom and dad.
Right. They ain't gonna see, right. And that was the thing. Because, like, like the first video stores that we were going to was like that. It was just like independent owned mom and pop shop. And, I'm coming in with my parents, you know what I'm saying? And it's literally like putting like this on the counter, or like they're putting it on the counter. And it's like, but I think mostly back then for me, the only thing obviously would be like, like porn, like that would be, cause it was always like behind the little like curtain. Yeah, that would be the only thing that they would be like, whoa, you can't go in there. Yeah. And even for the people working there, obviously, they would pay attention more to that. But anything else, I mean, horror-wise, everything was like, do whatever. Like, and
I think they were just happy to get, like, the money. Like,
well, yeah, I mean.
That's all that mattered. And it was like, I don't know, maybe, I think across the street from my aunt and uncle's house, I think it was like 50 cents or something like that to rent a fucking tape.
Yeah,
and there was nights where we would like throw like $1 at this dude, grab the tapes, run across the street, watch them, and then go back and throw another $1 at him and go back. Like, it was just one of these like weekend deals where it's like, hey, we're all staying over. Our fucking parents are going out, because my parents at that time probably in like their Jesus, that's so weird to think about, that they would be in like their 20s.
Right.
Like, even if that, like mid-20s, early 30s, that's
but that's the thing. It's like, they were still living, doing their thing. So it's like, we think about it like the same time, like, what the hell would I be doing at that age? And it's like,
I know exactly what I was doing.
right.
Like
I
it's
mean,
so stupid, but it is weird. Like my daughter sent me a picture a couple hours ago. She sent me a picture of my parents holding her brother, who's 17. God, it's so fucking weird. But to like see my parents in that picture is to think like, dude, they're like 3 years older than me in that picture. Like I'm 41, so it's like my parents are like 44 in that picture.
right.
It doesn't make sense to me to like see them like that. It's so strange. And then like I hadn't seen my son in probably about like 2 or 3 months, and he lives with his mom in another town, and I saw him fucking yesterday for the first time in like 3 months, and the kid has like a full fucking beard, and I was just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like this is insane to me.
It's great.
Like, oh yeah, this.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like that was my always thing. Like I can never, even growing up, like going to school, I'd be like in sixth grade, and I had friends with full on beards in like sixth grade, and I couldn't grow no beard, and I was like, yo, what am I doing? Like I look so young here, but I'm like I'm in a group of like in sixth grade with like a bunch of men here. I just felt so. It's crazy like what just time does. Like sometimes, just so it's like over the summer you come back and it's like the kid I used to know in like fucking homeroom is like, yo, now he looks like he's like 25, And it's just like a summer, like the summer just passed.
Well, like I went to, I don't know, for lack of a better term, a hillbilly school, like out in the middle of a bunch of fucking cornfields and shit. Uh, like I said, I'm in Ohio, man. So it's fucking corn and beans. But a lot of the dudes that I went to school with were like that. Like they were like these like beefed up fucking farm boys, whereby like ninth grade they look like they were already fucking 40. It's like Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a trip, especially like where me it was just like going to school like locally and stuff like that. I mean, it would always just be a couple where it's like over the summer, like time has passed, and it's like, I'll see you next year in school and stuff. And it's like, I'm like, who the hell is this? And it's like either they grew or like, it's like, it looks like an undercover like narc now. It's like 21 Jump Street basically in high school, It's like went out and got a badge and a job.
I knew it, man. Piece of fucking narc.
Like, oh, he's been a narc for years, man. He's like infiltrating the fucking school.
No, you can't fucking hang out. All right, so question 2, man. I know you do like a lot of location shots and stuff like that. You visit sites for movies, which is super fucking awesome. You don't see a whole lot of people doing that. But what got you into that? What got you into location hunting? Like, what was the process behind that?
That was more like seeing people, like seeing my girl post pictures, because she's really big into it, and seeing other people like just post up like iconic, like not all iconic, but just like scenes from a film, and it's like that connection where like I know some people just look at it like, oh, but that's that's just a house, or maybe that's just the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, but like, look, like, Michael Myers was standing, like Nick Castle was standing right there. Or,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or, like Robert De Niro was standing in front of that door. You know what I'm saying? Like, like 40 plus years ago. And
see, that's what shit fucking makes me happy is like, yeah, it's just a house. Yeah, it's just a door. But dude, you were standing outside the Nightmare on Elm Street fucking house. That's the Nightmare on Elm Street house. That's the Nightmare on Elm Street door. Like that shit sticks in your brain.
Which is great that they still kept the door.
Yes.
Like that, because fortunately, and that's the one thing about like researching and trying to get a lot of locations. A lot of things change. unfortunately,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, like Nightmare on Elm Street house. I mean, the Halloween hedge. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are places that anyone could stand in front of now, and like most fans and stuff like that will automatically be like, we know, they have that connection to like that thing.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man.
It's fun. It's a great time. I will say though, like when people go out to these locations, again, and it comes back to the respect factor. It's like, just know, like, these are people's, like, if it's a house, these are people living there.
Right.
Some enjoy it, some don't. And just got to be mindful of that. I mean, I want to go, like, I definitely on the bucket list is to go to the Goonies locations.
Oh shit.
And for I don't know years, but I know at one point, like, because people were going up to the house and stuff like that, like whatever owner owned it and didn't like it, they like blocked it off.
Shit.
They put up like big things so you couldn't see it, or like a tarp on the house, like.
Yeah, that's no way for them to live,
No. But I feel if you're like, as long as you're respectful and you're not, like barging in, or like, I feel like, you shouldn't be like right out the door, maybe, because like I said, it's not your property. But most of the times, like, even if people are outside, like, there's times when it's like you see someone outside, it's like, oh, do you mind if I take a picture? And most of the times they'd be like, nah, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah, like, what was the like in another famous one, like American Horror Story, season 1, the murder house, like for a while, they like had like a chain link fence around it, because I guess they didn't want people like just maybe stepping on the yard or like doing anything, or they didn't like the attention, But it swings both ways. I mean, when you buy a house that's known, like if you buy if you buy the Nightmare on Elm Street house, people are coming.
Yeah, you should probably be pretty prepared for that.
Yeah, like people are coming. Like that's just that's facts. You know what I'm saying? Like they come in there, but
See, like I've never been to any of those places. Like I've never done anything like that, and I don't know. Like I'm not saying that I don't care about it or that I never would, but I just never really had an opportunity to do that. That's such a cool thing. Like, how far have you ever like traveled to get to one of those?
Well, yeah. Well, the farthest would be any of them in California.
Right on.
Because I went to California twice so far, and went to a lot of places, a lot of locations. But yeah, like that's the farthest. But just like I said, just some of them were on, like, of course, it's like a bucket list, right? It's like,
yeah,
you want to.
Which one meant the most to get to that you've actually been to? Like, which one like really sticks out as like?
Just one that like, just one to me is sort of like was the Prince of Darkness like location.
Hell yeah, dude!
I love Prince of Darkness, and for the life of me, I was like, man, I want to visit, like this church, or I want to visit this place. And then it became reality, where like, I'm standing in front of it, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, I feel like I'm Cooper, like, like I'm in front of this place that I'm like, oh man, and it's and sometimes it's just like movies, like of course, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, and like there's a ton of them, but it's just like the random. It's like, man, like the Prince of Dark, or like what was the other one? Like the well, that's bigger too. Like the They Live, like the bank.
Yeah.
But I just posted one and I think they also use it in They Live, but it's from that movie, The First Power, and it was like that little hotel thing that he goes into, and it's
That's
just,
awesome.
and it's just a movie that I'm like, man, I love this movie, and it's just like, I love that you could hopefully still go to like a lot of these places. Unfortunately, like I said, things change,
Yeah.
especially like things get torn down, especially in Manhattan. I mean, they're always like tearing down old buildings, and just or remodeling. I mean, it hurts when you look up an address or a location and then you get the Google image of it and it's just like a parking lot,
Shit.
and it's just like the one that would have been amazing to see is like the house from Night of the Demons.
Oh fuck.
And I believe like that one though was torn down like shortly like after the film. And basically that, I mean, it was gone for a long time, but it's like, man, imagine if that was still up there, or like if maybe they would have renovated it or whatever, but
Yeah.
that would have been a great place to go see, like.
Well, I was gonna say, ask, do you have like a holy grail, like a must get to? I know you mentioned a bucket list, but like, what's the one place that like you have to go?
I mean, I don't know if I have like one like that, but I would say like the Goonies is definitely up there. Like, to be able to go see the house, the jail, the beach. I mean, that's definitely high on my list, just because it's like growing up. I mean, the Goonies was one of those films.
Yeah.
That's definitely a place that I would like. I want to get to.
The beach alone would be fucking incredible for me. Like I would be stoked on that.
Well, it's just it's sort of like the thing where, and we didn't get to it last time we went, but we just get but like the ET house,
Oh
like
shit, yeah.
like spot where it's like, how many times growing up watching ET, and it's just like, the house. But I've gone to like a number of films that I've, like the Poltergeist house.
Oh fuck.
You look at it, you're like, holy shit, like it's the Poltergeist, it's like, it's the house. It's the same, this is the house,
That's sweet.
But, and like I said, it's like one of those things where you don't think about it, and it's like, oh, like, yeah, it's the house, but whatever. But then it's like when you're there and you're like taking a picture, you're like, then you get like that connection, like to the thing. You're like, oh shit, like, I'm here, like.
That's really cool, man.
So yeah, it's always a fun time. I mean, I would definitely say, like I said, like if you do have an opportunity or anything, like definitely, try it out. I mean, I know it's not for everybody because some people just, like I said, it's like, but it adds to the fandom. I think, it adds something to it's like, oh, I love this movie so much, and then when you watch it again, and you're like, I was there, I was standing right there, like.
That seems like the pull for it would be, you put yourself in the position, like I was standing in front of that house, I know exactly where that's at. That's really fucking cool, man.
And then later on, when you start watching other films, you're like, wait a minute, that location looks familiar. And then, it's like, because that happened I was watching that Netflix, that movie, The Babysitter.
Okay.
And like the kid is standing outside and I'm like, why does that look familiar? And then I'm looking and I'm like, because it's the school from Superbad.
Oh shit.
And it's, it's like you start going to these things and you start seeing these things and it's like you start connecting the dots. I mean, obviously they use a lot of the same places and,
Oh yeah.
But
I think the one that I was most stoked to see you stand in front of was the People Under the Stairs house. So like that's a pretty unmistakable facade to a building.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it looks yeah, it's got that look to it. When you walk up to it, you're like, this is the movie. And like, luckily it's still there and you could still go. And it's definitely an iconic, I feel like one of those houses where you look and people will probably know like what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as much a character in that movie as anybody else is.
Right.
Like the outside of that place, it looks really fucking cool.
And across the street from that place is a mansion that was actually in the movie Twice Dead. And I know, and it was used in like a couple other things, I thought. But when I watched the movie Twice Dead, and I'm like, wait, that's the friggin' place across from that place. And it's just, but it's just weird sometimes when it's like, you're like, oh, or like if that's the other thing when you look up the address or something, or you're looking something up and you're like, oh man, this is right down the block from this place. We didn't know about it, but next time, or if like you miss a place and stuff like that,
Oh yeah.
But
that's fucking cool.
Definitely fun.
Right,
I love it.
This is the partner show where either Justin or I would go to the bathroom. So if you need to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. But I'll go do that real quick.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Cool, no problem.
We do not edit these parts out. Just a heads up, we don't edit this shit. It just usually goes onto YouTube. So
it's all good.
Hold down the fort.
I will.
I'll be right back.
It's like intermission. If I known, I would have wrote a sign. I'm sorry. We'll be back after these messages.
Sorry about that, dude.
It's all good.
I had something like off topic to ask you, and it's gone.
It'll come back.
Maybe. I don't know. Here lately, my brain's not working like it should.
Nah, I understand that.
Doesn't matter. That's the best part.
Yeah, I mean, it might come back, it might not. Who cares?
So what? Who cares? So this is what I picked up today. This is
oh yeah, that
was this guy. It was the only one they had, and I've been meaning to pick up a Gremlin, and got the one with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
I do want the Stripe though. I like the idea of having Stripe with a chainsaw in my house. I like that idea.
Yeah, they've NECA has really stepped up, I always say. I mean, just the stuff they release, you know what I'm saying? And even like
monsters that come out already, man.
I know.
I need a Wolfman in my life. And I need the fucking American Werewolf to come out.
That's I'm already once I seen that like posted, I was like dying. And then when they showed the, they were gonna do like the Nazi creatures, I was like, I can't believe it. I mean, obviously there has been, like that in the past, but I'm like, it's a new game, it's like if you want to put it, if you want to put it out again, like someone new,
You ain't got to twist my arm.
No, like, you know, like a new Wolfman, I'm all for it. Diamond Select, they did like an awesome Wolfman back in the day.
Yes, they did.
They might
But
have
I
done.
feel like NECAs will just be better. I don't know why. I feel like it'll be better.
I think they just got to this point in the Ultimates line where, like, the figure looks amazing. They add the detail. They add other things to it. I mean, I haven't seen, I think, too many figures from them that I'm like, oh, man, I don't know if I should be spending, like, money on this. I feel like
Right?
you just see it, like, well, do I buy it now or do I get it later? You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's hard.
And that's really hard with NECA stuff because, like, I am not paying aftermarket prices for NECA stuff ever.
And that's my rule for pretty much everything now.
If I missed it, I wasn't meant to have it.
Yeah. Basically,
That's how I.
you know, like if I'm not comfortable with the price, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So and that's like, and that happened a lot, like, you know, because like I started buying like the G.I. Joe figures that were coming out, and people were just grabbing them and reselling them. But if I'm not getting it for retail or like close to it, I'm not gonna pay your price.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, I think I've posted about you know, about certain companies who weren't like going after resellers, or at least like, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, companies like, you know, if people are reselling your product like that, your product sells. You know, it's in demand. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want your product to sit on the shelf. You know, so I get that. And like I said, if you buy something and resell it, I don't like that part. I don't care. I don't care what you do. You make your money that way. That's fine. I just don't like price gougers and someone who's just going to buy something and then like something is $25 and they're going to be like, well, now I want 100 for it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's right. You know what I'm saying? I think it hurts.
Yeah. There's no reason to ever, like, I've never felt that way, to go out and buy 5 of the same figure just to flip a bunch. That's not something I care about.
Right.
You know, I'm a collector. I'm a collector too. I know what it's like to miss out on things. I'm not going to take that from somebody.
Right.
It's such a shitty thing that people do, but you can't stop it, really.
Yeah, I mean, business is business, but the only thing I can do to like combat that is not buy it. And that's the thing. I mean, if people weren't paying these prices, you know what I'm saying? Like there would be less stuff. Sort of like when Mego got relaunched and everyone started going crazy for, you know, like the Mego figures, especially like the horror ones. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Mego, I don't know. I have my own like guesses, but I feel like it was the thing where you go into store, if you went into Target, it's like they were hard to find, right? And people started like, you know, if they found them, they would put them on eBay, and people were buying like Dracula or like Frankenstein for like upwards of like $60, $80. And I'm like, but there's 10,000 of these figures. We haven't seen 10,000 yet, you know, and it literally says on the thing 10,000. Now they don't have that sticker because they make probably way more than that because they know like the horror figures are going to sell. That's why like they predominantly keep pumping out like the horror figures. But it's like, I'm not going to go and buy a $15 figure for $60, $80 that I know I could get in the store eventually.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's the one thing I appreciate about my Target that I go to is like after the Pinhead figure came out from NECA, like, fuck, I missed the boat. I didn't get one. And for some reason, that was like something they got like super late. And I was able to pick that up.
Yeah, like, I mean, and that figure's amazing. It's an amazing figure. It looks...
Yeah, I went and they had like 5 on the shelf, and I was like, holy shit.
Well, see,
I was actually able to get one that I could like be picky about.
Right.
Be like, this one got the better paint job. You know, the hands look better in this one. The box looks good in this one. Like, because that's another thing too is sometimes you find like one figure that you've been hunting for a while, and then when you see it, like the the paint's good, whatever, you know, the mold's like really good, but the box itself is fucked.
Right.
And it's like, you know, maybe I'll buy that one and display it or whatever, but I'm an inboxer. Like I try to keep everything. I don't know. That goes way back to just being able to have the shit.
Right.
It's like now I got it, and I'm just gonna. I kind of feel like a dick about it sometimes because it's like, well, I'm not even displaying it the way it's supposed to be displayed. Like you get it out and do that, but I don't like upkeep on stuff like that. I don't like dusting things.
Right. I definitely get that because that is like a pain in the ass. And I mean, I'm a little of both. At least now, where it's just I'll keep stuff in box just because they are in boxes. So being in an apartment, like it's at least I could try to like keep it in some order.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like other things like that I'll get like the Masters or like even Star Wars or like random figures, like I'll open those up, you know, and I'll have them on display, or sometimes I'll just like, you know, I'll bag them and I kind of like like put them in, you know, like a container, and it's like at least I know I have them and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's hard. I mean, that's the dream, to have like a big enough space to just put everything out. You know,
Yeah.
that's like that would be like most ideal. But you know, like I said, it's almost like you know, like the house stuff is becoming like they, you know, like people use the word hoarder, and it's just like, you know, I mean, maybe not on that level, but it's hard to like part with anything. You know, like sometimes I'll get people who ask me if, you know, I want to sell anything or anything like that, and I'm like, I tell them, I'm like, I collect. Like I don't
Yep.
sell. I don't. And it's not, you know, and it's not just out of like, oh, I don't want to do it, or like I don't want you to have this figure, but it's like it's hard to let anything go. Like personally.
I don't think I've sold a single figure over all the years. Like, I've had that I bought specifically to have. Uh, the last thing that I sold, like recently, was my VHS collection. That shit broke my fucking heart, but it's just one of those things. Like you're getting ready to do the move and everything, but it was just like I don't want to take these with me. Like
Right.
I've with them multiple times and got more and then moved again and then got more and then moved again. But I'm really glad I don't have to unpack them right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, sometimes, you know, like if you're willing to let go of it, or at least like something, I mean, it will free up something else, right? It will free it up for something, you know, if you want to go and collect something else. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you know, like you know, I still try to, you know, find VHS, and it's a lot harder now. Prices are going through the roof. More people are, you know, going out and like hunting for tapes and stuff like that. And, you know, but that's with everything, toys, movies. I
Yeah.
mean, collectability with just like boutique labels and stuff. I mean, Vinegar Syndrome, Severin. I mean, you know, they have a lot of great stuff.
Those are my dudes.
You know,
Right there.
there you go. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, you know, the slip covers and, you know, all these like, I mean, think about it. They make it where they could put out a movie like that, you know, like, and it's funny because I see people who blind buy like some of their movies, and they're like, oh man, I hate that movie, but man, look at this dope ass slipcover and stuff like that, you know. And it's like, hey, I mean, you know, like I said, you're not everyone's gonna like the movie, but you know, some will. And there's a lot of stuff.
it's funny that you're talking about slipcovers. I'm actually friends with James Newrath, who works for Vinegar Syndrome. I met him in Cleveland at Cinema Wasteland, and I don't know, him and I just became like really good fucking friends. He's such a good dude. I love that dude so much. And it got to the point where it was like, hey, you come here, you buy my shit. Um, like, let's just meet up when you get here. Like, you don't have to fucking pay to get in. Like, here's a vendor's pass. You come sit at the table with me. So me and my buddy Wes, we sit at the Vincent table at fucking Wasteland every year, and you know, help him out. We sell the shit for him too, and uh, he just came through. Fuck, I think about a month ago. Now he came through on his way to Colorado. Uh, they have the archive there in Connecticut, and he's he was on his way out to Colorado to open another store. He'd basically proven to them that he could do it, and he found like he flew out or drove out or whatever, and he found like a building, and they bought it, and now he's out there opening another store. But when he came through, I brought him over to the new house and stuff, and showing him around, and he's seen my bookshelf that I have all my Vinegar Syndrome movies on, and he's going through them, and he was like, "Oh, you got Bloodhook?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You can sell that slipcover online for like $300 right now."
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
But it's true.
yeah. And then I'm on the fan page on Facebook, and people were asking about like, you know, what slipcovers do you want, blah blah blah, and a lot of people were saying Bloodhook, and I was like, "Do I sell it now?" Like, is this where I jump in and like
Right.
get, you know, make somebody's day or something, like whatever? And then he dropped me off like a little package of some newer stuff that had just come out, and he gave me the Beastmaster that they put out, which is in like, that sweet little box,
Yeah.
and got the booklet and everything. He's like, you could watch this movie once, and then he's like, and then you can take your wife out to a really nice dinner. It's like, well, I'm gonna hang on to Beastmaster because I
Right.
enjoy that movie.
But yeah, it's that's and that was the thing about it where, like I said, it's like these movies, like some people like just want to collect and want to watch these films, and others see it as an investment in a way, like
Yeah.
especially if something's limited. Although I just tell people to be wary, because just because someone can only put out 1,000 of something, you do not know what's going to happen to the movie after that. I think people like flipped a little bit when that movie Rad, got put out, and once it sold out, it was going for like crazy prices, and then all of a sudden, like Mill Creek or something, and then announced like the Mondo Steelbook of Rad,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait a minute, what happened? And it's like, if these people who own the films, if they see that the movie's selling,
Yeah.
they're not gonna not sell it.
Right.
So when things go out of print, and I know people jump on titles and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, it's great to get those things, but if you're looking to cash out or something like that, it's like you're taking a huge risk, because I'm not saying that everything's going to come back into print, but if it's a pretty well-known title, or if it's something that again, that you show like sells, I mean, someone's going to put it out, someone's going to want to put it out, or like that person is going to want to put it out, like stuff like that. But yeah, because I remember, I know for a little while, like Rad was going for like probably a good amount. Same thing with like that Friday the 13th collection before the new one, the one that was in like that steel box, that steel tin Blu-rays, like that one was going for like over $200 at one point or more, 300. And then once that new set got announced, people started throwing all like that one up on eBay.
Yeah. And that new one's like half the price.
Yeah. It's like, well, I could get this fancy shiny new box, for like $150 or whatever, and you want to charge $300, for this old one. And it's like, you kind of like got to like cut your losses, or probably like, they didn't buy it for that much, but yeah, for a lot of people, it's a business, like, and if you attach that limited to it, that limited number, that's just going to drive up, the want.
Yeah.
So that's when it becomes hard. It becomes hard when you really want a movie, but you have to fight people to get it sometimes, and stuff like that. But for most of those labels and stuff like that, like everything's obtainable, I would say, unless that's why they put the limit on the slips, right? I mean, that drives it up right there. I mean, there is people who are big on slips and stuff like that, and they want it in that slipcase. I get it.
Like, I thought it was crazy when he told me I could get like $80 for the Ice Cream Man fucking slip. And then he's just like, oh, wait, you got the Blood Hook one, man. Like, you can get way more for that one.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And
Fuck?
I guess it's like the thing is like, that's the thing, right? Like, do you need that slipcase on your movie? And to me, I feel the same way. I don't.
Yeah. I couldn't give two shits about them.
And like and I probably have like a good number. I don't know if I have that Blood Hook slip. I have to look. I don't think so.
Like, my thing is, like, I'm gonna watch the movie. I'm not watching a fucking slip cover.
Right. I totally agree. And that's the thing for me, where if I get the slip, it's a bonus. I'm like, all right, cool. I got this cool, thing. But I want the movie. So
yeah,
like if I go to the store, it's like a local toy / comic, and they have an amazing movie selection now, because the person who like runs that section, and he's on Instagram, Horror Boobs, he brings in all that stuff, and he knows so much about movies and indie films, and and it's great to go there. And it's like everything I find online, it's like, oh man, I want that online, but I gotta order it.
right.
It's like, well, I could go down there to Forbidden Planet, and 9 times out of 10, I could at least get that movie, especially like Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, different like labels, Kino Lorber, and just like weird, different films or horror, genre films and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But and I want to go to the Vinegar Syndrome store bad, because it's up in Connecticut, but just have to like find a way to get out there. But
yeah,
it's also like,
I'm in the same boat, man. Like, James has invited me like 1,000 times. Like, you can come check out the store. Come check out the store. Like, dude, I want to go to your fucking store. Just when am I gonna go to your fucking store?
Right.
Like,
just getting out there.
Getting back into like convention talk. We usually do like Cinema Wasteland is the easy one for me to get to. It's like hour and a half fucking drive from where I'm at. The other big one, the actual real big one we go to when he comes through, is we go down to Horror Hound in Cincinnati.
Right.
And that shit's just fucking incredible. Like, I think it would have been 2 years ago now, because there wasn't one last year. But that one was so big, like the weekend had sold out. Like the weekend had sold out, and it was just heads and hands, like everywhere. And I think about that in like today's,
yeah,
and it's just like, Jesus Christ, like I would have a heart attack
right.
if I was there, like in today times. But
it's such a fun. But it's such a fun.
Like, I love being in that stuff. Like, I like sitting at the table. I like watching people go by. I like being able to like step away from it and actually be like a participant and go and do. I know you're you're into like actually meeting, like the meet and greets and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
which is super awesome.
it's I mean, I kick myself now because like when I started going to conventions and stuff like in the 90s, that wasn't like when I would see celebrities there, but that wasn't like when I went to conventions, I wanted to buy stuff.
Right.
I wanted like, you know, these VHS tapes that like movies like I heard of, like, or someone, you know, like told me about. And it's like, oh, did you watch it? Did you see this movie or this movie? Like, so going to conventions back then, it was more of like, you know, about buying like films and stuff like that. And unfortunately, the thing about it is like later on, you're like, oh man, like so and so passed away or this person passed away, and it's like, damn, like I wish I would have got the opportunity, even if it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, like autograph picture, I get it, but it's just to be like, just to meet the person, just to say like, I loved you in this film, just to be like, oh, like you're so great in this, you know, like.
And what's so funny is like you know that those people hear it 1,000 times in that day, and it is what it is. But they're so grateful for that shit. Like the ones that stand out to me that that I've said it to, and D. Wallace, Tom Atkins, um, but trying to think of who else I saw recently, like at the last Horror Hound. Um, oh no, I didn't get to do it. I wanted to go talk to Elvira, and my my social anxiety got like way too ramped up, and it was like a 2 hour wait.
Right.
And I was like, I can't fucking do that. Like, one, it was Elvira, and I was already like, like fucking Elvira. But like,
but that's how it
the
is.
idea of even talking to her fucking blew my
Right.
brain out of my skull.
But that's how it is. Like, you know, I've been to like a good amount of conventions, not like ton. I mean, it's been a couple years. Like I've been going, like I used to go, then I took a break. I just needed a break. And then I started up again a couple, like 2-3 years ago. But man, it's like, you know, I mean, I understand who they are and stuff like that, but I always get nervous before meeting anybody. Like, you know, just because it's like, you know, you want to have a good time, you want a good interaction, you know. But yeah, it's just like, you know, it's like, oh man, it's like this person I've been watching in movies for like how many years, you know, and it's like I get to meet them, you know, and it's.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said earlier, like going to conventions just to buy shit, and then it became like, oh shit, these people are here. Start paying attention to them or whatever. Like that's how I first started going to like Cinema Wasteland. It was like it's a twice a year thing. It's once in April and then once in October, and it was just like an excuse to go hang out with my friends, and we all cared about the same shit. So we're gonna go hang out in a different environment, and buy the things that we care about. And you have these people sitting around, and there's definitely like a shit ton of people there to get their autograph and get their pictures with them and stuff. But it wasn't really until like maybe 3 years ago that it was like, oh shit, so and so is here. Like I gotta go fucking talk to them or
Right.
whatever. And I think the first time I got anybody to sign anything, they um, they usually like pick one movie and they get so many people to come if they can get anybody to
Right.
come. And then they show the movie and they do like the little panel or whatever. And theirs isn't nearly as big as like Horror Hound is. Like this one's pretty, not in a derogatory like way to say it, but it's pretty low rent. Like it's just like it's low key, I guess.
Right. Well, the thing, I've never been to Cinema Wasteland yet, but the thing I like about like when I would watch videos on YouTube and stuff like that, I love that it was like a party where people all hanging out.
Oh, dude,
and
it is.
I like that, like, it's a big interaction thing where it's like people's love for the movies and the genre and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not like you're going to Comic-Con. It's not like you're going to this
Yeah.
corporate like thing. It's like you're literally going to people who I love this so much, you know.
Going to Wasteland, you're running into the same people that were there every time. Like, you know, I don't see those people until I go back to Wasteland.
Right.
Like, I got so many Wasteland friends that I don't see outside of it or even really talk to until we go back, and then we just pick up right where we left off. But like, even like I was trying to say, going and getting like anything signed or whatever, they did Phantom of the Paradise was the one of the movies they were showing, and Garrett Graham was there, and he was not in the greatest of health.
Right.
Like, dude's like pretty much deaf, and he had like his assistant with him, whatever. But I had just bought like the French release of uh, Phantom of the Paradise from somebody that I kind of knew through a website that I worked on, and she was there and she was selling some of her stuff and she had it, and I was like, well, my youngest brother and I have like this deep appreciation for Phantom of the Paradise and like Paul Williams and his music and stuff. So like, I'm gonna grab this and then I'll take it over and I'll get Garrett Graham to sign it. And that was the first time I'd ever paid for anybody's autograph. Really was like, can you sign this to my little brother for his
Right.
birth? Wrote happy birthday to my brother on it. It was such a cool fucking thing. But after that, it was just like I still really don't do like the meet and greet stuff. But at Wasteland, it's such a small thing that they're right there on the floor. So
Right.
you can walk by and say hello to these people and say the things that you want to say to them. Like, hey, I loved you in that movie. Like, I'm so glad you're here. Like, this is really cool. Like, you're in this room right now with me and all these people.
Right.
Thank you for taking, you know, time out of your life to come and do this stuff. And they fucking leak that shit up.
And I think it's
The first time,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, sometimes like the smaller conventions and stuff, it is a benefit, you know, for those, because it's like you can actually interact and like have a discussion. Whereas like
Yeah.
if you go to like sometimes, I mean, I love, you know, a lot of shows, but like sort of like in and out, like pushed to the side, you know, and stuff like that, where, you know, at the smaller ones, sometimes it's like, you know, they're not signing, you know, for like hundreds of people, and you could have a discussion of like 10 minutes or something like that, you know. And
The first time I talked to Tom Atkins was at Wasteland. He was sitting at his table. There was like really nobody around. I think the floor was almost ready to close. And me and my buddy were standing there talking, and we were drinking Mickey's hand grenades, little fucking wide mouth. And underneath the cap, they have like a game. It's just like a picture game.
right.
And he's like, hey, fellas. We're like looking around, like, who's talking to us? And he's sitting at his table and he's like, hey. We're like, what, man? And he's like, what are you guys drinking? And we explain it to him and he's like, I haven't seen one of those in years. It's like, what is happening right now? And he's like, what are those? Like, what do you guys got? And we told him the Mickeys, and he's like, yeah, I haven't seen those in years. I was like, well, they got like a little game under the cap, whatever. And he's like, all right, cool. And he's like, let me see it. So we hand him our caps, and he like figures out the little fucking
Right.
picture games, and he hands them back. And he was like, that's really cool that they do that. And we're like, all right. And then he was just like, all right, well, I gotta start getting my shit together. And I was like, all right, man. And then he like packed his stuff up and he left. And me and my buddy are just standing there beside us. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, where else could we be on the fucking planet
Right.
but Cleveland, Ohio? And fucking Tom Atkins like gets our attention. Like,
Right.
he's talking to us. Like, it still blows me away. And he was the nicest fucking cat, because we went and talked to him again the next day. Like, hey man, like fucking just started shooting the shit about like Halloween 3 and fucking The Fog, and just like picking his brain. And he, like, the fact that some of them aren't bugged out by that at all. Like, they're ready to answer all your fucking questions.
Right. Well,
I think outside of convention wise, a buddy of mine used to run a haunted house, and one weekend he had Gunnar Hansen and Dick Warlock come, I think Dick Warlock was there on Friday and Gunner was there on Saturday. So we would go through the haunted house, get to the bottom, and then, you did your meet and greet, whatever. And just to be able to pick Dick Warlock's brain on some shit was like the greatest thing to me ever. And that dude was so willing to talk shop about fucking stunts.
Right.
Like he was just like on board immediately. And I could not have been happier. Like that was one of my very first, like, oh shit, I just met somebody who, you know, meant the world to me because he scared the shit out of me
Yeah,
type of fucking moments. And then to meet Gunnar Hansen the next day was
right.
just fucking bananas.
But that's the thing. It's like, when you talk to the one, like people who want to talk or, like you said, pick their brain, it's like, it could be an amazing thing. Just, like you said, it's like that conversation now is always with you, whether it lasts, a minute, 30 seconds to, 10 minutes or whatever.
Dude, I cannot watch Halloween 2 and see him stab that fucking nurse in the back and pick her up without playing that conversation in my head over and over, because that's exactly what I asked him about.
Right.
Like, how did they do all of that stuff? And he was like, well, we did this and we did this and we did this. Fuck yes, dude. Like, so fucking cool.
Yeah. It's like I said, you have a wealth of knowledge, and it's just like, when they share it or like you get that interaction with them and stuff like that, it just makes for like even a more amazing time and stuff like that. Because it's not only did I get to meet this person, I also interacted and I learned some stuff, personally, first hand-to-hand knowledge, and stuff like that. And
I specifically picked the picture of you and Dee Wallace because she was one of the sweetest people I've ever met outside of Tom Atkins. We were walking past, she had just done like a photo with somebody, and me and my wife were walking past, and she grabbed my wife's arm and was like pulling on her. And my wife's like, what? And she turns around and she's like, I love your hair so much. And I'm just like, what? Like,
Dee is she is beyond sweet.
Yes.
Like,
She's a beautiful woman also.
When
so beautiful.
Oh yeah. When I met her, I was like, of course, I'm like I said, it's always a nerve, like a nervous, but it's like a nervous energy where it's like excitement, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to meet, like, basically like Dee was everyone's mom growing up because of E.T. and like other things, but like, like that one really hit me. And I'm like, and just like talking to her and, oh my God, like, you know what? It's weird because it's like, I get it, like these are people who are in films or, do things and, we see them up on the screen and, but man, you go up to Dee Wallace and, she's talking to you like, like, oh, like we're friends or,
Yep.
it's, just someone, like, it's a respect thing. And man, she was beyond amazing.
And the fact that they're willing to do that, like I said earlier, like talking to hundreds of people in a day, and the fact that they're willing to just do that, like,
well, like I said, there's always,
like I have a limit myself to where, like, if I've had like 10 conversations in a day, there's a good chance I don't want to fucking talk to anybody for like 2 days after.
Yeah.
And they're doing this like weekend after weekend, like.
Well, I think it's
amazing.
it becomes like because it becomes for them like like they see some of the fans that go multiple times and you start seeing like familiar faces, and for a lot of actors, I mean, I feel like they're appreciative of fans, because I mean that's the biggest thing, right? That's why you go out there and it's like these people want to meet you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going there to get your autograph to like sell online. I want to meet you because there's something about that person that I want to meet or like that I love and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And there's some people like who are just, just like, Dee, where it's just like, man, it's just so amazing like to meet and stuff like that. And, And that's why, like, if I post that picture up and they're like, oh, how was she? I'm like, she's amazing. Like, if you see her at a convention, you go up to her and like talk to her or like get something, because you're not going to be disappointed,
I agree. She was way too kind. And honestly, I've never really had a bad experience with anybody that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, like, bad experiences is like basically what you deem it. I mean, bad experience would be maybe like the person maybe is just like disinterested, or maybe you felt like a little rush, but I don't think I've ever had a time where I was like, this person was like rude or they were nasty or anything like that. Like, I've never had an interaction with a celeb like that, and like in that way.
What I think is super weird though is like going for a weekend, say at like Cinema Wasteland, everybody's staying in the same hotel. Like you're staying in a hotel with these people, so they're there to do their shit also.
Right.
One morning, fucking me and my buddy went down to have breakfast, and Tom Savini sat at the table next to us in swim trunks and like this god awful weird shirt, whatever the fuck he was wearing, and he had like his swim goggles on the table,
Right.
and he was eating breakfast, and it's just like,
well,
what is this?
That's the beauty of it. It's like one of the, because like going to chill at theater, and me and my friend stayed over, and like we went out, and then we were coming. The thing was like, I think it was closed yet, and then we're going down the hallway, and I'm like, dude, we got to make that elevator. And he's like, what? And I'm like, we make the elevator, and we get on, and we're going on with it, and it's fucking Lou Diamond Phillips, and we're riding the elevator with Lou Diamond Phillips, and it's like, and then he turns to us, and it's just like, oh, hey guys, it's like, I'm Lou, and it's like, yeah, like, it's like,
I've always appreciated that when they introduce themselves, like you don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we know, but but hey, it shows something, right? It's not like, hey, you're supposed to know who I am and stuff like that. Like, I get it, but just something like that innocent, but it just shows you the humbleness, right? And it shows you like, like a regular person, like, it's not like someone's like, and like I said, it's like, he didn't have to say anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're in the elevator, whatever. It's like, you don't have to say anything, but just to acknowledge, someone, or just be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, stuff like that.
I cannot think of his name. I cannot think of the dude's name, but he was in Super Troopers. The blonde-haired guy, like the curly blonde-haired dude.
Right.
I rode the elevator with him, and he like blew his nose the whole time. He was eating an apple, and he was like blowing his nose. And then all I said to him was like, "Are you enjoying the convention?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's a lot of fun." He was like, "I think I'm getting sick though." And I was like, "All right, man, see you later."
Yeah,
that's got off the floor.
That is.
I walked behind Gage behind, the fucking kid that played Gage at Pet Cemetery, like walking behind him in a hallway at Horror Hound, and he turns around and he's like, I don't know if I'm in the right spot. And I was like, I don't know what you're looking for. Like, I can't help you.
Yeah, you're like in the convention or in life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah. Like, I don't know what you need. But I remember one of my favorite things, and oh my god, it makes me laugh so hard, is me and my buddy we just left the room, we're going to our table, and just like way ahead of us, but not like super far, was Doug Bradley. Or not Doug Bradley, Jesus Christ. Fucking oh fuck. Why can't I just fucked up his name? Abe Sapien.
Doug, the actor, right?
Yeah. I want to say Doug Jones.
Is it Doug Jones? Yeah, that sounds right. I'm
Okay.
bad with names, so
So yeah, he's like at the double doors with like a couple of his people, whatever. And I'm talking to Wes, my buddy Wes, and I look up and I see him, and he looks at me, and I just like full on sweat, like yeah, and I like point at him, and I start waving like I'm a fucking child, and he waved at me, and I was like, it's as close as I'm gonna get. Like, I don't need to go talk to him now. I waved at him, like that's the best I can get.
it's like I said.
So stupid, but I love that stuff. Fucking Meatloaf was in the room across the hall from us at a fucking horror hound. Like that shit is so dumb. Like we get there, we're taking all our stuff up to the room, and he walks past us with like his wife and his bodyguard, whatever. They walk past us, and we're going into the room, and I realize that the hallway they just walked out of is really fucking short.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, that was fucking Meatloaf. Like, he just came from here. Like, where's he at? Like, where's he at? So I immediately call my mom. I was like, Mom, guess who I just fucking saw? Fucking Meatloaf. And yeah, it ended up being like directly across the hall from us. I was like, this is fucking bananas.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. Where it's like if you stay there, it's like you could have anyone like on the same, on the same floor or like you said, like across from you, next to you, and stuff like that. And it's always like a trip when you like, like you come out like into the hallway and you see somebody and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like.
Dude, I was pretty drunk when I met him, but I ran into Mick Foley in the hallway. And his face was priceless because he saw me coming and he seen my face light up. And he just kind of like his big goofy smile.
Right.
And then he just came right up and he just his giant paws like just shaking my hand. It was amazing. Hang on one second. Yes, wife.
Good night.
Going to bed?
I just got home, so yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna say good night to my wife real
Yeah, no
quick.
problem.
Love you. Yeah, huh?
Mm-hmm.
She was down the street at a friend's house.
Yeah.
She's back. I think I had a specific convention question for you. No, I did not. I just wanted to talk about conventions.
Yeah, I mean, they're always a good time. I enjoy them, and I can't wait to go back.
Everything already, but dude, this has been a blast, man.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I had a great time. I mean, I always love talking about whatever, like because I mean, to me, it all intermingles. Movies, conventions, pop culture. I mean, that's why a lot of conventions now aren't like genre specific. It's like now they just become pop culture conventions because
Yeah.
everyone's into everything.
Like I've definitely noticed over the years the booths pop up that are more like toy oriented, or just like pins and buttons and stuff like that aren't necessarily horror themed at all. It's just
I feel like it's just because, like,
Which is important.
what you grow up with, what you're attached to, where it's just like, to me, it's like, I mean, I get it. Like, if you're into a specific line, or if you're into a specific, genre of film or films, I get that. But I feel like most people, like, you like different things, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always say, like, like, I love horror films. That's my favorite genre. But I mean, that doesn't mean I don't love other like films. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, I mean, there's no bounds to what you could enjoy. I mean, toys and comics and TV, cartoons. I mean, why relegate it to just one tiny like thing? I mean, enjoy whatever brings you joy. Whatever, that's how that's what I'm for. It's like, whatever you love, just love it.
And that's definitely something that I've tried to tell my children is, if you care about it, that's all that fucking matters, is that you care about it. Who gives a shit what anybody else thinks.
Don't let anyone, like, you love something, a movie, or you collect something. People always got opinions, and they're always gonna, like, you post up a movie and it's like, oh, that movie sucks. I'll be like, oh, you don't have to watch it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like we're watching it together, so it doesn't matter,
right?
Like, whatever you enjoy, it's like, don't worry about, like, any negativity on that and stuff. And you don't have to feel, because I know sometimes it is like, like, oh, I love this movie, and people are like, maybe it's like, why you like that movie? And it's like, every movie is someone's favorite movie. Just
right.
That's just how it works.
Absolutely. Fucking, I think it was last weekend. Justin and I were talking about it. We absolutely will sit and roast the things that we love. Like, we'll tear that shit to shreds because we love it so much. Like, we're not afraid to make fun of the shit that we love. I realize how ridiculous half of the shit I love is. Like, I fucking collect toys. I'm a fucking 41-year-old man, and I collect fucking toys like I'm fucking 12. Like, I have my own room in my house, separate from my wife's room, full of fucking cartoon and comic book and horror movie related horse shit. Because I'm just a giant child.
Right.
And I will sit here and make fun of myself all day long about it, but this is what I care about. This is mine. This is nobody fucking else's bullshit, but mine.
And I totally, like, I could definitely, like, agree on that. And that's, to me, that's what it is. Because it's like, it's the stuff I love. It's like, I'm not making anyone buy it for me. I'm not making anyone watch it or like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's for me. I mean, if you enjoy it, if, like, someone else does, maybe talk about it, that's. But it's always cool to have other stuff. Some people, like, oh, I'm into collecting this. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. What is, like, I could understand the collecting part, maybe that's not my thing, but it's like, I always like to see, like, what other people are into and films and stuff. And I think over time, I always say, like, I'm more lenient on films, just because, I don't want to be like, I hate that movie. I'm more of like, that's just not my thing. Like, if I see a movie or if I see something that I don't like, I'm like, it's just not my thing, but it could be someone else's.
I don't know. I think Justin and I's thing is normally, if we can say something funny and kind of be a dick about it, we're going to do that. Well, just because it entertains us. Like, we try to entertain each other that way. Just like,
I think it's always fun to like, sometimes, like you said, when you watch a movie and you're like, like, you start thinking about the movie, and it's like, it's a regular movie. You don't want to overanalyze it sometimes, but then you just think, I'm like, like, oh man, like, if you really think about it, and it's like, and I'll just take an example. When I was watching, like I said, The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, man, in like, in this storyline, it's like, this dude was Batman for like a year and a half, and then he like took a 7-year vacation, you know, like this dude, you know, like because you know when they show him, and then when he comes back, and then but it's like he was, you know, he was only Batman for like 2 years, and then it's like he's in his third film. It's like it says he was gone for like 7 years, and I'm like, he was only Batman for 2 years or something, you know, and or I always make fun of like Godzilla, well, Godzilla 84 or Godzilla 85 in America, I guess, and I'm like, I love the way Godzilla looks in it, and I'm like, I love the movie, but Godzilla kind of like takes a nap in the middle of the movie. Like he gets knocked in the building and then he's out for a while. Like there's other stuff going on, like, you know, but it's, you know, it's just stuff like that. It's like you kind of just like, you know.
Yeah, Justin and I were talking about the newest one, the Godzilla versus Kong, and he straight up equated fucking Godzilla being a cop. Is like what? Like other giant monsters aren't allowed to come have fucking fun.
It is.
Like he's gotta like police the fucking planet and like
Basically,
go push the shit out of these dudes because they're trying to have a good time.
that's what it basically is. I mean, that's why they had to keep Kong, you know, locked up. Which, when I was watching it, and it's like I said, like, you know, I told my friend, it's like funny because I'm like, they must have, you know, gave, I guess, Kong like, you know, that sedative and stuff. Because I'm like, how'd they get him in the dome? You know, like that's
Dude, that is something that we were straight up pissed off about. If you can sedate fucking Kong, you can sedate all of them.
right.
Put them on a fucking fancy rocket because now you have all this weird technology for some reason, and shoot that cocksucker into fucking space. Like, who gives a
Right.
shit?
Well,
Get
that's
off the fucking planet.
like me and my other friend always joke about like in like the older Kongs, and and every time they go to the island, and I'm just like, and we're like, why did they make big doors though? Like,
Yeah.
they're little, they're people. You know, like you don't have to make the doors the size of Kong because you don't want Kong coming into your camp. So you don't need to make
a wall.
Yeah, just put the wall. You don't want doors. Don't make the doors, and don't put them. Don't make big doors. You know, but it's like you know, it's like that gigantic doors.
You know who comes to big doors? Big people.
Right. So it's
They
like
come to those big doors to knock on those big doors because they're gigantic.
So I would think like they wouldn't want Kong. So I would think like they would just make a wall, but. Maybe sometimes, you know, Kong is chill and they invite him over and stuff like that. But yeah, stuff like that is just, you know, it's funny. Like, you know,
he comes over to play Scrabble.
Yeah, it's like, but stuff like that is, you know, you make fun of it. Like, yeah, you see the silliness in it, but I can still watch it like over and over. You know,
Absolutely, and that's what makes it so important. Is you're not just in it for like the singularity one thing of I love this movie. It's I love this movie because it's fucking good. It's fucking also bad.
right.
And I know why it's bad. I know why it's good. And there's a comfort level
Right.
to that.
I just feel, and sometimes I'll just tell people like, because sometimes, you know, someone will be like, oh, but you know, how can you watch this film or how can you watch this? And I'm like, you're just going to watch the film to enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
If it's a film, I'm not writing a paper about it. I'm not looking to psychoanalyze it. I'm not, you know, I just want to enjoy the film and enjoy it for what it is, you know, and that's it. And that's how, you know, like, that's how I go into films. It's like, you know, do I really need to like break down like certain things in the film? You know, no, like I'm not watching, you know, I'm not watching like a Christopher Nolan, you know, like something where I'm like, oh man, this is like, I gotta like really pay attention, or, you know,
Because every conversation I want to have after watching this is for a film class. It's like, no, it's not. I'm gonna go talk to my buddies about this movie that I just watched.
Right. And like I said, but then, you know, like some films you get deep on and some films deserve that. And, you know, that's how it is. I mean, some films you're like, oh man, I didn't think about it this way. Or, you know, oh, that's a good point, you know, and maybe there is deeper things going on, you know, but
I think that really does lie on the viewer. It's whatever you take away from it. And Like I could sit and talk to you about how much I love the movie Nothing But Trouble.
I love that movie.
Yeah, like it's so bad, but it's so great, and the story behind all of it is fucking incredible. But like, yeah, we could sit here and talk about that movie. Nobody else gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like nobody fucking cares
But
about Nothing But
funny thing is, if like when you do start talking about, like something like that, or you post it up and stuff, like you start finding those people, what I'm saying, that like, oh wait, I love this movie. Oh, I didn't think anyone liked this movie either. And it's just, and that's how it becomes, and that's why it's cool, like, circle back to like conventions and you meet like-minded, like, or like people into certain things. You're like, oh, I didn't know. You see someone with a t-shirt that is like, oh man, you love that? Like, I don't think I've ever seen someone rocking that shirt, and it's like,
if there was a fucking Nothing But Trouble shirt and I didn't own it, I'd be very upset right now.
but yeah, that's the enjoyment of it, the enjoyment of walking down the street, sometimes, especially like, wearing something like, a shirt or whatever. And it's like, like you could see someone walking down, like, oh, like that person got this shirt on,
Hell yeah.
although sometimes, you don't know now if it's just style or whatever sometimes, but at a convention, they're there for a reason.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're rocking the shirt for a reason. If someone has a Nothing But Trouble shirt at a convention,
I'm probably going to go talk to them.
And
then I'm probably going to immediately regret it. Because if they're anything like me, I don't want to talk to them.
Well, yeah, sometimes, but I get it. But, you just open
up. This was a terrible mistake.
Just open up a can of worms. Now I got to talk.
Well, all right, man. This was fucking super fun.
Yeah, I had a great time, man. Thank you for the invite. And,
absolutely, man. I would like to mention that you were, I think it was our one and only giveaway. You were the winner of the Stranger Things giveaway that we did.
That was amazing. And that's an amazing set.
Yeah, those are really good figures.
And
I'm very happy to have that also.
And I can't wait for Stranger Things to come back. Because that's basically why I'm still probably streaming Netflix.
Yeah, there's only a handful of things on there right now that I care about, and I'm waiting for Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
The Korean zombie. That fucking series was incredible to me. I love stuff like that. So I don't even care about the zombies. I just like the swords and shit. Right.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, sometimes, like I said, you just like find something and you just gravitate, and it's like, man, like, I love it, and it's just, that's it. It holds your attention, and there you go.
Absolutely. Well, all right, man.
Oh, thank you, and thank you again. Thank you for the invite. I had a great time. And
hey, man, we'll have you back on again for sure if you want. So
I could talk about a bunch of shit. So once you start rambling, I think, and there's so much to cover, and I don't think it could.
Well, if there's anything specific that you want to rap about sometime, shoot me a fucking DM, and we'll make it happen.
Cool. Sounds good.
I know there's a lot of stuff out there that we could for sure do an entire episode on that we haven't even touched on. So
I'll definitely do that. Thanks, man.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.
You too, bud.